Hello ladies and gentlemen to my first ever video. So today I wanted to walk you through the German Type 7 submarine as portrayed in the game U-Boat. For those not in the know, Type 7 submarines were by far the most common submarines in the German Navy during World War II. More than 700 of these submarines were built, of numerous variants for the Kriegsmarine. Most were sunk in the war by depth charges or hedgehog attacks, and post-war a very large number was either scrapped or scuttled. Some U-boats however went on to have lengthy peacetime careers with numerous nations, such as the French and Norwegian navies. So as we board here on this gangplank, the first thing to strike the viewer might be a relatively empty top deck with nothing but a conning tower in the middle and a deck gun in front. The deck gun ahead of the conning tower was only really used to attack merchant shipping which was unarmed. Otherwise, torpedoes were used, but we'll get to that later. Now as we climb up the conning tower, on the left hand side there are three flak guns, two 13.2mm and one 20mm. This is actually one of several conning tower setups. Later versions had a quad barrel flak gun, and even a dedicated but unsuccessful flak variant of the Type 7 sub was developed. To the right of the ladder there is a submarine's bridge with housings for two periscopes, forward for attack periscopes and aft for general observation. There is also a targeting site dubbed the PZB, which was used for surface torpedo attack. Late war German submarines were also modified with a snorkel, which allowed the submarine to get fresh air down at periscope depth, making it harder to detect visually and by radar systems. Speaking of radar systems, that too was a late fall addition, which provided advance warning for when the ship was approaching other ships or if aircraft were heading towards the ship, allowing the submarine to crash dive away from the aircraft or to prepare to attack a convoy or a task force. These are all the exterior features of the Type 7 U-boat that have been walked through. Now it's time to explore the interior of the submarine. Going down the hatch, we enter the conning tower's interior. In the conning tower, this is where the attack periscope would be operated. To the right, there is a set of computers used to calculate firing solutions for torpedoes and for control of a few other settings. Then there is the launch lever. A number of telegraphs and other indicators are also present. Right, let me give you a quick show around. So here's the calculator, which is used to compute firing solutions for the torpedoes. There is the launch lever, and here are the telegraphs and gauges that the captain would use to aid when firing and handling the submarine. Then there is a second hatch, and taking a ladder through that leads us to the command room of the submarine. On the front right hand side on the room, here are the plane controls which are used to help to maintain submarine depth on the water. To the right, this biblically accurate set of wheels controls the valves to the ballast tanks. Without flooding the ballast tanks, the submarine cannot submerge due to positive buoyancy. On the left hand side of the boat there is the navigator stations, there for obvious reason, in the days before GPS or even radio beacon navigation. Just behind that sits the echo sounder, which is used for depth measurement. It does this by emitting loud pings and timing how long the ping takes to return from the seabed as an echo. Here's a brief demo here. You heard the ping, right. That's the demo complete. Now if I'm being honest, I don't know what this device is right here. Then we walk through this hatch here and we show up in the smaller crew quarters. As you can see, it is very Spartan with no separation between the beds. There are fold out tables available for crew members if they so desire to use them. A bit past that, through another door, there is the ship's galley. This small kitchen was used to feed the whole submarine crew, which could be as large as 50 crew members. Not a lot to work with. Oh yeah, there is your toilet just behind this door here. There's another one up front. Continuing past the galley, you enter the diesel engine room. These two diesel engines were used to power the submarine on the surface and could propel the submarine to 17 knots rated maximum speed, although on the head flank they could apparently push 20 or even 21 knots. These two engines are both inline sixes, producing up to 2000 horsepower each. Behind that, you go into the electric engine room, where two electric motors are housed for underwater propulsion, which double as generators when running on the diesel, charging lead-acid batteries. Behind the two motors, there is also a set of compressors, one diesel, one electric. Above the diesel compressor, there sits a small device called a pill thrower or pillenwerfer. This pillenwerfer was used to deploy bold decoys later on in World War II, which were small canisters of calcium hydride, which in seawater generated quite a large amount of hydrogen and caused quite a racket, buying the submarine time to dive and escape when attacked. Then at the very back here is the stern torpedo tube. That is the back half of the submarine explored. Now we'll return to the command room and go through the forward hatch into the officer bunk room, which doubles as the radio and hydrophone room. Oh yeah, there's also a ventilation system here. Through this hatch we enter the officer bunk room, which doubles as the radio and hydrophone room. The radio aspect is critical, as this was the main means of communicating between fellow submarine ships and central command on land. In front of the radio room there is the hydrophone room, which is used by the operator to listen underwater for any ships in the vicinity of the submarine. The officers no doubt enjoyed a slightly higher quality of life here. There are also fold-out tables, as you can see, for officers who may so wish to use them. Finally, we enter the forwards torpedo room, which doubles as a second crew rest quarters. There are 12 beds here, which can fold away when required, such as when the torpedo tubes are reloaded. Speaking of, at the front, there are 4 torpedo tubes. When a torpedo is fired, these tubes are initially flooded with water before the torpedo is pushed out from the tube with compressed air, whence the own torpedo's own propellers take over. For reloading, the hatch at the back is open and a new torpedo is pushed in. They cannot be fired all at once though, so when a salvo is fired, it is one after another. And that concludes my brief tour of a German Type 7 submarine as presented in the video. This is my first video, so if the audio quality leaves much to be desired, please excuse me, as I'm only using a poor headset mic. Not sure what I'll do next, but whatever comes, it will come. Until next time, signing out.